what we've been able to do in the past year. JW went a couple more times than I did, so he may have a little bit more to tell you at the end. But again, we appreciate everything and all the support. We went in June, the first, second week of June of this year. And this year was a little bit different this is my third time. My only regrets ever about Panama was not going earlier in my life. So I love going. It'll put me in the dark. I'm glad I don't have notes, Andrew. It's funny. Okay, and so the first time I went was we did Christmas Joy. Second time I went, we went on a medical trip. This one was more of all of us outreach, but this was a more actually getting out, knocking on door type deal. VBS, and had a couple Bible studies with not only as congregation, but individuals at their homes. Some we were just out about knocking on doors, handing out flyers, and they themselves requested Bible studies just like that. So this picture is one of my favorite pictures we got. A lot of them are good, but as far as landscape, imagine going up, traveling about an hour up a mountain, getting out, and then walking. There's a wooden hut on the top of this mountain. It's considered a ranch. And you look out the back door, back window, and this is your view. Just an awesome country, very beautiful. If you've looked at the members page, the members information page, I did a walk around of the facilities, and so I'm sort of trying to get where I can show y'all a little bit more of the livings and the comings and goings. And this is not my best video, but we often talk about the road that is neglected. How far would you say the bad part of the road is in miles? Over 100 miles? And that 80 miles, and that takes us about how long? Hour and a half, 2 hours? 3 hours to go over that stretch of area. And this is what we have to deal with. For about 3 hours of a ride, we're doing stuff like this. And it gets worse and worse. I won't let it play the whole time, but this is the part that the government decides not to fix. But you're constantly weaving. Have fun doing that for 3 hours. The first time I went, I thought we were never going to make it. And if you went, you know that road very well. But it's interesting. First thing we did, we had some that had birthdays. We like to do that for them. We buy a cake from Meta Tea and Bakery, and we celebrate their birthdays. And usually one of the things we've been doing ever since I've got there, been going, is we buy groceries. Any money that's given to us by individuals or even by the church here, we go out and we pool our money and we go out and buy groceries. Most of it we give to the members. Some of it we give to people that are not members of the local congregation. But we'd go out and hand that out. Usually there's, let me go back. They have bags that have groceries in it, like food, and then we also give them a bag with like cleaning supplies in it. So they do get 2 bags. This is just a lot of the youth. The 2 guys in the back, Max and Josh, and the guy in the purple shirt there, Tim, that was their first time going. And so this is just a usual process. Each time we buy groceries, we bag them up individually, and then.
Tim is one of the elders from Crestview.
Okay, yeah. Tim is one of the elders from Crestview. On the left, the kids are planning out VBS, what they want to do, and the right, we're sort of. This is at a member's house. We're taking groceries too. And then we took a lot of folks with us when we delivered groceries. So, and then you go out and you meet different people. You see how people live, and then you run into things like this. This is just, you see a lot of the smaller ones just flying around the clinic, and then a lot of people have these at their homes. This one had an interesting story. We were out handing out flyers for the meetings and VBS, and this one, they found it when it had a broken wing. And so they took it in, and when the wing was healed and it was able to fly away, it never left. It stayed with them. So as Tito there, one of our translators, has been working with JW and Larry for many years. And of course, we go out and we don't just drive up to people's houses and hop out. Sometimes we have to do a little bit of walking and a little bit of small creek or whatever you might want to call it. This is a member's house, Carmen. If you remember last time, you probably see this house in a lot of our pictures because the church there has been helping her out a lot. If you remember last year, JW talked about they pulled the money together that was given to buy a new washing machine and a new refrigerator. So this is Carmen's house. Just some of the other views on our way to take groceries. Now, the picture don't give it much justice, but that's one of the biggest trees I've ever seen without going out to the redwood forest or whatever. Just a huge, huge tree. What's that? A banyan tree. Okay. Very big tree. All right, so this is the church in Santa Fe. And this is where we're going to have, 2 nights of VBS here. And this is just the start of VBS. Now keep a count, if you can, or number on those kids right there. I think the first night, doing little crafts there, the first night, I'll get into that in just a minute. See if y'all recognize this song, some of y'all's kids. Who said? Father Abraham. There you go. So if you keep a count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there might have been another one, 5, 6 or 7. We had 7 kids. We might have had a couple more come in, trickle in the first night, VBS. Just think, well, that's a lot of work to do for 7 kids. Well, they're worth it, but keep that count in your head as we go on. This is, most people call him Moses, but you pronounce it Moises. And this, how old is he? 18, 19? 19. The most ambitious, outgoing guy that I know. He is great with the kids. I wish he could come over here and spend the summer and work with our kids. He's great. He's a natural born leader. I can't say enough about him. This was in the back there. This is the crew learning how to make balloon animals. I figured out how to make a sword and a dog, but if you put me to it right now, I lost that real fast. So that was part of VBS. And then each night after VBS, we would have a service, you would say. I don't think this would consider a Bible study, but we had a regular service night, like a meeting night. And that's another picture of Tito. He's teaching one of the other song leaders a song there. So I thought that was interesting. This is just we had a good number there. Guy over there on the right, that's Mark from Crestview. A lot of the songs you can pick out and know. Okay, I know what this song is. We sing that. And a lot of the times, they would sing their songs, and then we would sing our songs. So we would try to match. If we could figure out what song they were singing, we would go behind them and sing the same song in English. All right, so first night of VBS, first night of meeting's over, and we go back out to start handing out flyers, inviting people in the same community to come to VBS and to the meeting that night. Just a couple pictures. So remember that 7 or 8 kids. The next night, this is about 40 kids. So if you don't think getting out and talking to people in the community works, and it's either that or, hey, we got some crazy Americans that want to babysit your kids for a little while. But either way, it worked. So the first place we did the VBS in was in this facility, but it was in the kitchen. We took over the whole church the next night. This is the whole auditorium of the church there. This is another video of VBS. And Moises again giving orders back there. They marched all the way out the front door, went all the way around, and came back in. But and poor guys up there, half the time they don't know what's being said. But they did learn a few songs in Spanish. And this is another, they had a movie night. The youth got together in the bottom of the clinic, and they had a movie night. Again, the poor guys over there on the right top, they were troopers. They watched the whole movie and had no idea what was going on. No subtitles or anything, but they watched it. All right, so one of the things I got to do with the new guys, I got to do 2 things that I didn't get to do the first 3 trips. Got to go to Yavisa. Yavisa is the end of the road. It's literally the end of the road. So a lot of people think when you get to, you can drive all the way to the Colombian border across. You can't. That's what's called the Darien Gap. One of the most dangerous, 50 miles, 50, 60 miles of land there is at this moment, especially with all the immigrants coming and going at this, right? And so we get to go to see the end of the world, end of the road. I don't want to see that yet. Anyway, and we're going, and there's this truck turned over. I thought it was very interesting and it took us. We went to Yavisa, saw what we saw, and come back. It was probably about a little over an hour, and that truck was still laying in the middle of the road. It's just. Anyway, so we get here. You got a sign right there in Yavisa. Welcome to Yavisa. If you start back, what this is called, you start the Pan American Highway, which you can get back on it when you get into Colombia and go all the way down. But if you start here and go to Alaska, it says 12,580 kilometers, about 7,800 miles to go all the way to Alaska if you started there. This little section right here, That's where the road ends. So you got to figure out how to get from there around the Darien Gap into Columbia. So most people, it's by boat. But literally the 2-lane road ends right here. And then you can cross the river there, and that's pretty much what you would begin the area of the Darien Gap area if you keep going beyond that. And so we walked across that, which is very, very interesting. That's the group that's never been there. The guys from Crestview. I'll get my clicker to work. Oh, that's where JW is supposed to start right here. But yeah, so, but again, I appreciate, I went through that faster than I thought I was going to go. But I appreciate the support, letting us go. Again, JW, get into it. We got to do a lot of personal Bible studies this time that you don't really see on pictures, because we're invited into someone's house or someone's porch or whatever to do Bible study. We do have one, but most of the time we just didn't want to take pictures. We had one lady, Graciela, that invited us. She wanted a specific lesson on baptism because she had been baptized into a church, but she didn't understand what she was being baptized for. So me, Mark, and JW had and Yadi, she I think she went with us, had a one-on-one with her. She wanted to know about baptism, and I thought that was very interesting that that's exactly what she wanted to know, because she was very curious about it. So things like that, little intimate situation on Bible study, we didn't take pictures. We just didn't feel like it was right to take pictures there. But JW's going to talk to you a little bit more. He's got a few. I'll let him talk a little bit this time. He's got a few more pictures, and he'll offer the invitation. Udian. I don't know why. I don't know where I got that.
Yadi is a different person. You didn't turn me off. Okay, y'all get ready for your nap now. It's my turn.
You gonna do that? You know how to use that?
Which port I need to point it?
That way. Right there.
Okay. Here we are. I learned a new phrase while I was down there. I got this thing about people calling our children kids. Kids are baby goat. And this guy came up with this Spanish expression that his dad had taught him. He's one of the elders at Crestview. He said, "¿Cómo está, frijole cabrito?" And I said, "How you mean, kid?" So that's one thing I learned while I was down there. Anyway, long story short, this property actually belongs to a brother in Christ that worships in Sansón. His name is Miguel, and he's the one that he showed the picture of the ranch that we went to visit. There's another brother just up the road from him, but this guy has actually, the government has come in and leased his land as a tour guide, tourist attraction. They bring people in. They've cut roads, trails up through the jungle so people can take guided tours and come up all through his property, back up into the jungles and see the beautiful, beautiful property that he has there. And here we are. We're about to take the trail. We're getting ready to take a trail up through the jungle. This is our group of young people that was going with us. And here's a pavilion that they had made where they come and eat their lunch and that sort of thing. We was actually having a Bible study there, and that was the one I was conducting that day. So all of our group and the people that were in the community there, we had a Bible study with them, and then that's right. Just before we went on that little hike. This is Miguel. This is the brother that owns all this property. Miguel was an elder in the church at Sansón until the eldership had to dissolve because of his health and the health of one of the other elders. So they really don't have any elders now. But just a wonderful, wonderful guy. He told me several years ago when I got ready to move to Panama that he would let me have property to build a house on. And so it's kind of a long ways up in the jungle, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And here we are at another house. This guy's name was Kali, and his wife's not a member church, but he is, and she's sitting all the way across the end there. And we've had a Bible study for her. And she would come, she came to our services that night, but she hadn't obeyed the gospel yet as far as we know, but we continued to study with her and pray for her. Here we are, the gringos sitting up front. And this is like a question and answers thing. They'll ask questions, we'll answer them from the Bible. So it was very interesting set up and get together for us. And really enjoyed that. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed asking the questions. This is a congregation at the Metati, the church building. And it's kind of crude building, but it serves a purpose. It serves a function for it. And this guy up front in the blue shirt is Luis. He actually preaches there, and also at Sansón. He preaches there. He's a regular preacher at Sansón, but he went down to Metati to help them and started working with them. So he preaches down there too, and they got another brother that helps him out. So that between the two of them, they keep the congregation support preaching. Here's the baptism of the other brother that works with him. And he also lives in Sansón. Dohenes is his name. Been knowing him for years. Wonderful, wonderful brother. And just a great guy and an excellent Bible teacher. But this is a lady that we met on our canvassing. We was out just knocking on doors and handing out flyers like John talked about. We met this lady, and I think Mark had to study with her, one of the elders from Crestview, and also the preacher at Crestview. And she came. After we left, she came and started attending services and obeyed the gospel. So that's really that's what it's all about. That's why we go. That's what it's there for. He showed you a picture earlier of our youth group, and Moses in particular. Moses told me a 3 years ago he wanted a bilingual Bible because he wanted to learn English. Well, Moses is in college, and that's his major. He's studying English. He wants to speak English. And so we was at a little this was back in like January when I was down there. We had gone up to a little town to do a campaign, and all of our youth group was with us, and they saw Moses' Bible. Oh, I'd love to have one of those. So I came back home, and my daughter found these online for $30 a piece. I had some people here that had given me money for that, and so I bought about 8 Bibles. And took them back down there and gave them out to all the young people. They were so tickled to death to have those Bibles because they all want to learn English. And we work on it when we're there. We try to encourage them to speak. And there's a girl on the right. That's her new Bible. She's so tickled to have that Bible. Her name is, what's her name? I got it written down here. We call her Jolene. But it really is, it's not spelled that way or pronounced that way, but that's what we call her, and she answers to it. But this young lady just finished high school and getting ready for college and obeyed the gospel. She worked with us last January, or December, I get it right in a minute, December, our Christmas Joy program. First time we'd ever met her. First time she came, she'd kind of stand over here real quiet and was real shy. But by the end of the day, she was mixing and mingling with everybody and got to know everybody, got to be good friends with everybody. And she was already friends with the preacher's daughter. They met each other at school. And so by the end of the month, she had obeyed the gospel. So she's a very faithful, devout Christian now. And she was one of the ones that had the birthday in July when we were there. And this girl on the left, you hear him talk about Carmen. This is Carmen's daughter. What's her name? Don't ask me her name. I done forgot it. But anyway, she's 12 years. I think she just turned 13. But she walked 3 miles to come to church building that morning to worship. And her mom was sick, and the other children didn't come. But she walked in there by herself to come to be there for Bible study and worship. And I go out there about 7:30 in the morning, and there she is sitting on the steps. So we got her upstairs and gave her breakfast and everything. But these people just weren't for me. This is just a view of the sunset from the church building there in Metati. I thought it was kind of pretty, so I took a picture of it. Here's one of the guys. This was a trip I took in March. I think it's March. Anyway, this young guy is from Tennessee, and this was really our maintenance crew. But he has a business where he works Hispanics. He had a lot of people working for him Hispanics, so he's pretty well up on the language. So he's actually having a study with this guy here. There's a member church there in Metati. So they're conversing in Spanish. This is Moses. He actually lives right behind the church building. But he comes over there and he volunteered to work for us. And this is getting the building ready to paint. I can't remember what I think he's actually painting because see the bucket. So we had to scrape this building down. It's like a cinder block with a stucco outside on it. And it's tropical climate, so it has to be redone every so often. And we've got a group that comes from Columbia, Tennessee, every couple of years and does maintenance on the building. And so we've got to go all through this every year. If you don't, it'll just dilapidate because of the tropical climate. But this is Moses. And I found out that he was working for a guy that was building a house, and the guy was paying him $20 a day. But he said he was going to come help us. So I got the guys together and we paid him, so he wouldn't miss his money because he's, like I say, he's going to college. And this is actually inside the building. You see the blue to the left. That's the color it was. I don't know why they picked the blue, but that was an ugly color. But anyway, it was peeling off the walls, and we scraped everything down and repainted it. This is our group. Jolene, Darlene, Melodigo, and one grinning like a donkey eating salt briars. That's my sweetie there. That's a preacher's daughter. Her name is, yeah, that's right. What is her name? I know her name. Anyway, I can't ever pronounce it. And then this is Max and Josh from Crestview. Let me look at this. I got her name. I knew I had to write these things down. Ajeline, spelled A-Y-L-E-E-N, Eileen, but it's pronounced Ajeline. Ajeline is just turning 15 in December, and her and her parents, I'm going to tell you about this right now, they wanted to plan a trip to Guatemala, where her dad is from. And they've never seen their grandmother because they've never been up there. And she's got a brother and a sister. So they were going to go to Guatemala to visit at Christmas because she's turning 15 in December. And 15 is like coming of age. It's like a big deal down there. They have all kind of get-togethers, all kind of things they do for a 15-year-old girl, especially. So they wanted to go up there and celebrate with their grandparents when she turned 15. So it was such a big deal. And when we got down there with our trip with John, that trip in June, come to find out, said her and Dad had planned to go, but they couldn't take the whole family because they couldn't afford it. And so I asked him, I said, how much does it cost to go? He said, well, the plane tickets are $100 a piece. And I said, well, how much are the passports? And he told me I have $75 what it was. And so I talked to Mark and the other elder that was from Crestview, and somebody had given them a big pile of money. So we got together and we gave them the money to take the whole family to Guatemala for the Christmas and for the birthday celebration. And we got them together and we gave them the money and they cried. And he told me later on, we were going down the road, and he said, brother, he says, he speaks pretty good English. He said, I appreciate what y'all did. He said, we were not expecting that. Me and my wife were trying to figure out what we could sell so the whole family could go. So now we're in the process. John and I have been tasked with buying clothes for the children because it's cold in Guatemala in December. And the other group was going to buy shoes for them, and somebody else was going to get them anyway. We're going to do that for them, and we'll have it down there because they're not leaving until like the 15th of December to go on their trip, and we're going down this end of November. Larry and I are going, and the other group will be there to the 13th of December, so to do the Christmas program. So we'll be able to give them the coats and shoes and whatever else they're going to need for the trip. But it's just a wonderful group of people there. Just super Christians, and excellent to work with. And we're handing out the food baskets, and there's just a lady that we were handing out to and talked to, and she was so friendly, and invited her to come to our services. This is Tim Stewart. He's one of the elders at Crestview, and this is actually in Sansón. He's teaching the Sunday morning lesson, and Tito, our translating for him. This is the group that went on our little hike we was talking about, and up through the jungle, and Miguel's place. There's Miguel on the far right in the blue shirt. Just excellent trip. This picture, I just inadvertently took this picture. This is Ajeline, and this is at the other brother's house, the one that's got the big ranch out there. And this butterfly lit on finger, and I just took the picture. This one of the best pictures I've taken, I think, So I was proud of that. Now this lady here is Evelyn. Evelyn and I go way back. Evelyn is my daughter in Christ. I studied with her in 2014 and 2015, baptized her into Christ. She never looked back. A few years later, I've told you this story. She was dating a guy, and I said, well, I didn't get an invite to the wedding. She said, I'm not marrying him. He's not a Christian. She had her mind made up, but she did marry a guy that was a Christian, and he's bilingual. So he speaks Spanish and English. And this is her little baby girl, 3 years old. As a matter of fact, we had a birthday cake for her. And here she is licking the plate. I had to get a picture of that. She loved that cake so much. But she just turned 3 years old. And just a super family. You know, her mama told me her favorite thing was going to church on Sunday and singing. Said she just can't wait to go and sing. She loves to sing. So wonderful little family there. Here's a picture I took of the river that we go up and down when we go to the villages. Last year they got very little rain. It was very dry all year. And these, you can see the top of the stumps, the water's usually way up over that. It's just, you know, from bank to bank, but it's so dry. But it rained while we were there. Man, did it rain. And they were so glad to see that rain. In fact, the owner of one of the restaurants that we go to, Andreas, he told me, he said, we got more rain that one day than we got all last year. So it was very, very dry, which is unusual. But this is a picture of the preacher and his family. Luis, Angeline, Elizabeth, little Louis, and I call her Alexandria. I can't remember her real name. But that's the family. They're good folks. They're just down-to-earth, godly people. They love the church, and the wife there is an excellent, excellent Bible class teacher. I think that's all of them, man. Okay, let me say something about Moses. Moises. The boys, he's either 19 or 20. His birthday's in December. I can't ever keep up with it. But he's always wanted to learn English. He's trying to learn on his own. And so now he's in college where he's taking English classes. And he's getting pretty good, so I can actually talk to him, carry on a conversation with him. But when we were there, the church had asked him to do the Lord's Supper, and he was very nervous. He said, I've never done this before. And so we kind of talked to him and encouraged him, and he did an excellent job with it. But he's just, like you said, just a natural leader. He takes these groups of young people, and they go out, and they do things. And they have youth rallies that they go to. And he's the leader of the bunch. But when we go down and do the vacation Bible schools and stuff, then he's right there. But all of these young people we had with us, there's like 6 of them. They're all Christians. They've all obeyed the gospel. A couple of them, about 3 or 4 of them in the last year and a half. But they're all Christians now. And I had a Bible study with them. Of course, we had, he said something, John said something about we had a couple Bible studies. Actually, we had several Bible studies. I did a couple with different people myself, and then we had some group Bible studies that we did in the church building and in the community in different places. So we had a lot of Bible studies and a lot of potential. The lady he mentioned, Graciela, the last study we had with her, we were going to come back the next day, but she was sick. She was really sick the day we were there, but she sat there and listened to our Bible study. But so she I think will be able to be in the gospel very soon, and can't wait to get back down there and meet with her. But the Moses and this group that we've got, the young people, they're so excited about being Christians. But while we were there, it was Father's Day, and they treated us like we were their fathers. In fact, Angeline and yeah, I can't remember. Well, anyway, Stephanie was one. I didn't show you a picture of her. She wasn't on there. But Stephanie and I go way back. Her dad was a teenager first time I went to Panama. And now she's 16 years old, so go figure. But she and I are real tight, always been real close. And Angeline and, let me look at this. I'm sorry I'm drawing a blank on these names. Yolini, Angeline, Yolini, and Stephanie, they made me a Father's Day card. They made it up. And it's so precious. It's just so precious. But you build a bond with these people. You build a closeness with them that's just amazing. And in the Bible study I had with them, I had them all together. And I told them a story about a young boy that when he was 6 years old, his daddy came home and gave him some whiskey. He'd take a sip of that whiskey. He didn't like it. Came home later and gave him a sip of beer. He didn't like it. His brother, a few years later, gave him a cigarette. He didn't like that either. But what the point I was trying to make is this young boy, at 6 years old, made up his mind he'd never drink and he'd never smoke cigarettes. And I said, the point I was trying to get across to them is, this is what you need to do now. You need to make up your mind now as to what you're going to do and not going to do. And I gave them the illustration of Daniel. Daniel 1 and verse 7 said, Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the dainties of the king. He didn't wait till he got to Babylon and was confronted with all these things. His mind was made up before he ever got there. And so the point I was trying to make was trying to encourage them. Make these decisions now while you're young, and they'll become a part of your life for the rest of your life. And you won't have to, you won't have to worry about what you're going to do when that temptation comes your way. And we all have those, don't we? We all have temptations that come our way. But the sooner we can make up our minds of what we're going to do, than what we're going to commit to, and what we're not going to commit to, then the battle is half won. Better than half won. Our time is about out, but I appreciate your support in Panama Missions. I appreciate the elders and what they do for us and allowing me and John to go. And I appreciate the other things that other people do. But it's all about carrying the gospel. It's not about me and John or anybody else making a trip to Panama. But it's about what we do while we're there. Somebody had, back a few years ago, there was WWJD. What would Jesus do? Well, we know what Jesus would do. The Bible tells us what he did. He'd go about, he'd heal the sick. He fed people that were hungry. He saw the needs of the people. He met those needs. He healed the sick. He raised the dead. But you know what he said? His real purpose was for coming. Well, all these things were leading to, all the things that he was doing in his ministry was leading to one thing: to seek and to save the lost. He didn't come to heal everybody. He didn't come to raise all the dead people. He came to seek and to save that which was lost. And that commission is given to us, Matthew 28 and Luke 16, to go into all the world, preach the gospel to every creature. He that believes and is baptized shall be saved. He that disbelieves shall be condemned. Matthew 28 says, go into all the world. And American Standard says, make disciples of all people. Baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I've commanded you, and lo, I am with you always, even in the world. Making disciples of people is to make somebody who will follow Jesus. That's what we're trying to do in Panama. And I think we've got a good toehold in doing that, especially with these young people. And because they're so excited about being Christians, they're so excited about doing what's right. And I want you to pray for this group. I want you to pray especially for Moses, that he'll be able to learn the English, that he'll be able to do the things that he wants to do in the church, because he's really coming along. He's really growing in leaps and bounds. But the whole idea is to carry the gospel to these people because they desperately need it. And I've seen, and John's seen, people come to Christ that didn't know Christ. Jo Lenny, the young lady I showed you with the Bible, she just started coming to church, Bill, and worshiping with her grandmother about 3 months before we got there in December. But we studied with her, and we talked with her, and we encouraged her, and she fit right in with the rest of the young people, and just, she's faithful child of God. And that's where it all comes to. That's what it's all about. Paul said, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, Romans 1:16, for his power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. The only hope that any of us have of salvation is the gospel. Some people have taken that gospel and changed it to make it more palatable, more presentable, easier, or whatever. But that's not the gospel that saves. The gospel that saves is the gospel that Paul taught. He told us what that was in Romans 15:1-4, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's what the gospel is. And that's what we teach, and we try to get people to understand. We try to get people to come to know Jesus and obey the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what it's all about. That's what mission work is all about. Now, granted, it brings great joy to John and me to go and do this, but the bottom line is it's not about the joy. It's the joy that we have when we see people coming to Jesus, because that's what we're there for. And that's what you send us there for. And we want you to know that what we're doing, you're doing. Because we're the feet on the ground, but you're the ones that send us. So you're just as much a part of this great work as we are. And I appreciate that, and I want to continue to do that. If you're here this afternoon and you never obeyed the gospel, we want to encourage you to do what we encourage people there to do, to believe on Jesus, to repent of your sins, confess Him as Lord, and to be baptized to have those sins washed away, and then to live a faithful Christian life. Maybe you've obeyed the gospel, you haven't been faithful, you need to come back. We encourage you to do that. This time we're going to stand and sing the invitation song once it's been announced. If you need to respond, please do so. While together we stand to sing.